The thing is, though, Darwin, is it's the laws that's fucked up. Because with using your example, we could go back to the show we talked about Tyrese.
Yep, I'm
And
gonna say
so
that.
you got gentlemen, you got some people who think that they're protecting themselves until the law, it could be one person that could check off one box on one form and suddenly everything goes to shit. You did everything that you were supposed to do. You thought it was ironclad, and because of one person was just like the homegirl of the judge and said, "Oh, this is a big well. I'm gonna check off. I'm gonna darken in this box on the Scantron form instead of this box," and then everything falls apart. And so that's what I meant by the gynocratic system of American family marriage has ruined it. When you say what comes first, the chicken or the egg, who's at fault, women or men? It's really both, because you got a system where men are doing the bidding of women for the benefit of women enforced by men. And if you got guys who are weak enough to allow that to happen and put into law 40 years ago, something that was relevant 40 years ago, but they didn't revise the law as times changed and nobody's really pushing to do it, who do you blame?
What I was saying, Hank, is let's say is single women are looking at social media and looking at Facebook and they looking at the moments that other couples are sharing, and they only sharing the most
Yeah.
lavishest moments and making it
The
seem like
highlight
that's what's
reels.
going on consistently. What I'm saying is these women are being conditioned and programmed to be like, okay, that's what the life is like. And if I'm not getting that, I must not be getting the life that I deserve.
So you need to leave them mentally weak women alone, because that's what they are. They are mentally weak. If that's what they think it's always about, don't deal with them heifers. Look here, I'm glad they're doing this. I'm glad they're saying this, because that allows me to pick out the ones that I like, that's within my frame, my circle. They ain't doing it by helping me. They making it easy. Look, at social media make it easy for these young cats. I don't understand why they don't realize that. See, back in our days, we didn't have social media, so we had to do more research. We got the cliff notes now. We got all the, you remember in your math book, you go in the back of the page, they always give you the answer. That's what we got with social media. Cats need to know how to use it properly. Instead, they just want to buy into it like these women do. No, that ain't what it is. Move accordingly. If they tell you what they are, then move accordingly. And if you still buy into it, knowing they like that, then you's a goddamn fool.
All right, I did want to go ahead and not switch it up, but still continuing the conversation that we were discussing tonight. I believe Hink and I think Law actually highlighted some of the key points that we're going to go over. So for this next segment, I want to just be able to have an open dialogue. I may call on the first person just to get it started, but feel free to just kind of chime in so we can keep the conversation going with a natural flow. All right, so we're going to highlight 10 of them. Well, six. We'll highlight six, which is financial risk, divorce rates and the fear of failure, modern gender roles, unrealistic expectations. I believe you said this one. Law, lack of emotional security and loyalty and infidelity. Loyalty and infidelity. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off with the first question that I'm going to pose for this open dialogue is how much of a concern is financial ruin in marriage for men? I know Hank touched on it, but everybody else mentioned it here and there. But let's just answer this question. How much of a concern is financial ruin in marriage for men?
I would say that's a big one, right? But that's also depending on your scenario, right? You know what I'm saying? I feel like again, my situation is not like one that a lot of people will experience. For one, my wife, yeah, she didn't work for years, right? Put her through school, masters, all that. You know what I'm saying? And didn't work for years. Whereas, you know, I took care of business, right? Did my thing and continuously do it. But now, it's not just me. We can do more. You know what I'm saying? We can do more. I ain't got to worry about everything. You know what I'm saying? Like we got kids. We were able to put my daughter through college with no loans, none of that. You dig what I'm saying? We were able to do things how we wanted to, and we still growing. At this point, we have 4 kids. I'm not worried about if God forbid something happened with this, she gonna take half. Hell, we built this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like we built it. I'm not worried, but again, my scenario is different. Now, say God, now I come in already and I meet a woman, that's completely different. She didn't build that with you. What they say, she wasn't in the gym shooting with you. So it's a different ball game. You know what I'm saying? It's very different. So I can see why that makes a lot of men afraid of that commitment, and why it's a big red flag, or just a big reason of apprehension, because it can deter you from all you've worked for. They can take half. Out of the top 10 billionaires, I think the 3 or 4 that were women, all but one, I think, got their riches by divorce. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's something that you do think about. Is everybody
And the
going to
other
become
one,
a
the other one
billionaire?
was an
No.
inheritance.
Inheritance. None of them were self-made. None of them worked for it. None of that. You dig what I'm saying? So yeah, man, that's, of course, financial ruin is a big reason, especially if you're coming in with something. If y'all both come in with nothing and build something, what we talking about? You know what I'm saying? But if you coming in with everything and she coming in because you pulled her out of McDonald's drive-through, yeah.
So who's ruining? Who's causing the ruin? Her or you?
I mean, well, that goes back to the chicken, which came first, the chicken or the egg. You can say, yeah, oh, she decided to leave me and take half, but then they're gonna say, well, you decided to marry her. You know what I'm saying? Or you didn't protect yourself. So it's like, which one comes first?
Well, I would say if the money came first, and also the intelligence, and I would argue that if a man is able to do so well on his own, in a way where he's able to have so much wealth, that also should come with an amount of mental awareness of getting yourself in a situation and losing it all. So I would think, like, say, like, if Viz came up off of 500,000 in the company he made past year, before I think what he would think when he get in a relationship, he would be thinking about his money and how that can be impacted by the decision to get in a marriage. So how should I move? Should I take the girl, a girl that's working at McDonald's that's only seeing about $18 an hour, and she's got an $18,000 a month allowance? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you setting her up and you setting yourself up if you don't move accordingly. Like, you don't move in a way where you protect yourself going into that.
The thing is, though, Darwin, it's the laws that's fucked up. Because with using your example, we could go back to the show we talked about Tyrese.
Yep, I'm gonna say that.
You got gentlemen, you got some people who think that they're protecting themselves until the law. It could be one person that could check off one box on one form, and suddenly everything goes to shit. You did everything that you were supposed to do. You thought it was ironclad, and because of one person was just like the homegirl of the judge and said, "Oh, this is a big well. I'm gonna check off. I'm gonna darken in this box on the Scantron form instead of this box," and then everything falls apart. And so that's what I meant by the gynocratic system of American family marriage has ruined it. When you say what comes first, the chicken or the egg, who's at fault, women or men? It's really both, because you got a system where men are doing the bidding of women for the benefit of women, enforced by men. And if you got guys who are weak enough to allow that to happen and put into law 40 years ago, something that was relevant 40 years ago, but they didn't revise the law as times changed and nobody's really pushing to do it, who do you blame? Well, the women are taking advantage of it. Yes, but the men are allowing it to be taken advantage of. So that's what I mean by it's a big circle jerk. Everybody's jacking everybody off, and who breaks it? Does the guy stop the women from jacking off? Do the women stop the guy from jacking off? Well, right now the benefit is for her. The benefit isn't for him. But then can you change that? How? When everybody can vote, and women are the ones that actually do vote. So it's just like,
yeah, but I think we can change it. I think we could still, I think with the law, how it is right now, you could change that type of behavior or prevent exploitation. Depends on how you draft.
It is. It's slowly moving, but it depends. Like Florida, as an example, had just got rid of no fault divorce, the only state in the union. They just did that 9 months ago, and it's not even fully implemented. But how did we even get to no fault divorce to begin with? How is it that you can divorce a motherfucker and nobody's wrong? The courts don't care, but then you get to the money side. Well, the courts is incentivized by making sure that you guys stay married, because I mean, it really is all about money. But
it is.
When you say that we can change it, we can, but who's gonna do it? Like at the Black Manosphere Conclave that we just did in Houston, we got Cardinal Smith who came to my event 2 years in a row, and he talked about the changes that he made in Georgia. But it didn't take a whole lot of people. He said it only took to like 20 people in some legislatures to get the stuff going to be beneficial to men in Georgia. But that was just for paternity. We're talking about marriage. Who's gonna have the nuts big enough to go in and change marriage laws to even the playing field?
Right. I can't answer that, but what I can do for the state that we're in now is we can figure out how to draft premarital agreements in a way to where it's pretty much ironclad for protection purposes. And then we can educate men on how to be aware that pulling the trigger to get married to a woman that's coming out of McDonald's and you making all this money, what outcomes, understand the outcomes you want and understand the risk that you're taking. Are you okay with the outcomes? Are you okay with the fact that if this woman files for divorce and y'all have intermingled y'all expenses and money into one account, a joint account, that everything in that joint account becomes split down the middle?
Yeah, men are in love though, man, and women are in business. That's from Coach Greg Adams. So if you got guys that got this money and whatnot, but he's love bombed and he's in love and she's selling it to him like it's us and it's gonna be me and you against the world and I love you so much, and that song, that soundbite right there is playing in his head every time he sees her, and she's giving him good head and cooking him cheesy eggs, and he doesn't, the rationale flies away from guys. It just flies away, man. Common sense
is a matter of pleasure. They putting the pleasure and peace over protection, and that's how I met a man. And the goal is, for me specifically, is to come into spaces like this and kind of change that mentality.
Yeah, but they don't. Then they don't have these spaces. Leave it up to them. They leave it up to them. They'll shut down They'll shut down King Talk. They don't want us. They don't want 4 black men talking about this right now. Are you kidding me? They ain't never had this before us.
I swear, Shannon, every time I pick up my microphone and talk on it, I feel like I'm competing against the devil to win over my brothers and sisters. I think we're fighting against demons. And I think everything that we talked about today was the influence of a demonic spirit. It all started from the beginning and it can continue to evolve. That's why marriage is, like somebody said, the Bible or the whole concept of God has been stripped out of marriage, out of the conversation. I don't think that's by chance. I think that's by intention. And you got to recognize whenever you talk about anything that was naturally built, that the way God intended, you got to understand you're going to be fighting against demons. And those demons comes in the form of, I'm not going to even say that because then people will be trying to fucking cancel me. So I'll just hold my personal opinions on that. In consultations and shit like that, if they want my personal opinion.